Joe Gauss
Joe.
asked us, why is red such a dominant color in so many non-hunting clan tartans? So, in other words, tartans are not hunting tartans. He also wanted to know about the gray suit behind us. Just real quick, I don't know if anybody else has noticed it, but behind me, over my shoulder, over here, you can see sometimes we have a mannequin with a
gray jacket,
a gray tweed jacket. That is the
gray Braemar.
Gray Braemar, which is on our website if you're curious about it.
Yeah.
But so why is red a big deal as a color?
The don't think of it as, and don't think of it yet. Put a pause on the term hunting. Way back when tartans, originated, the origins of tartans, as far as representing families or whatever, were more districts and what mills way back then would just produce based on the locally available dyes and things like that. And they would just produce different patterns. Don't associate it with a name yet, just call it a pattern. So if there's pattern 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, and this is, what Wilson's Bannockburn is producing, and the Robertsons happen to come in and say, I really, really like that one. That could become the Robertson tartan, or it could just be a district tartan for the area because the people in the area are buying that particular one. Some tartans are blue, some tartans are green. There's different colors, just like tweed patterns now, just like fashion patterns and things like that, like printed patterns, not clothing outline patterns. So that's kind of how it evolved, is just patterns. And some people like the red ones better. Other people like the green ones better. And it just kind of separated that way. Now, once it became associated with names, sometimes a family might say, well, we have a red one, but not everyone likes the red. Let's do another one. Let's do one that's, maybe the same set, but, switch the red out for green, or change it up entirely and do something very different. And then that would become a darker tartan for the people who like the darker ones, and people who like the red one can wear the red one. But you have to come up with a name to represent the fact that it's something different. So rather than call it, Robertson Red and Robertson Blue, maybe you call it Robertson Red and Robertson Hunting. And I'm just using Robertson as a name example. I don't know, specifically about the Robertson one, but it's the name Hunting. The theory is it would potentially be something for marketing, meaning it's not really, though that's because that's the one that they hunted in versus the red one they didn't. It wasn't that strict. That's kind of a thing that people say, but it doesn't really necessarily hold true. So it's a different name. You have to give it another name. So Hunting is a cool name to give it to some degree.
So they could have just said like Robertson alternate.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, my understanding is that a lot of the hunting tartans were intentionally, or probably unintentionally at first, but then intentionally later, meant to feel a little more rustic, a little more relaxed, so that they were, the implication was it was what you were wearing when you went to your estate in the country. Not necessarily hunting per se, but basically just not in the city. So they didn't feel quite as bright. So that's it.
And some tartans, they're darker. They only have one, or it is green, like Mackay. You only have, well, no, technically, Mackay blue as well. So I'm lying. But the main Mackay tartan is, it's dark green, navy blue, dark green, and black. There's Morrison, which is, a dark color tartan. There's, Black Watch. There's Campbell. There, all these. There's a lot of tartans. There's Shaw, which is the one I'm wearing, that are based in, black and navy blue and dark green. So they don't need a hunting alternative because it's already dark. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I would say so. But I mean, or it's just nobody wanted to market one.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like I want to imagine that some of them came about because somebody of substance, somebody with wealth, or a clan lord or somebody said, I want something for when I go to my country place, and they commissioned it in that way. But I don't know. I think it's definitely much more on the marketing side of things than anything else.
Yeah, a lot of it was driven, whether we want to admit it or not, a lot of it was driven by commercial entities, i.e. mills, coming up with different patterns so that, to sell more cloth, to be able to sell more stuff. So it's a misty origin, so to speak, in a lot of these things where you do know, you don't know. Then there's the whole Sobieski Stewarts, and just making things up and like, hey guys, here's a couple hundred tartans. Like, these are all good, I swear.
So, but back to his original question, do you feel like red is more widely represented than other colors? I mean,
No, if anything, I actually think the opposite.
Yeah.
I think most tartans are darker or based on black watch.
blues and greens.
Yeah, blues and
There's more
greens,
blue and
and
greens
black
yeah.
more than red. There are plenty of red tartans. McFarlane, Royal Stewart, McGregor. There's a lot of them. But if I were to thumb through a swatch book, I would say, Mac, what do you think? Percentage of red tartans versus darker color ones. You give me your percentage first, so I don't color your answer.
So as far as like you're saying, like as far as what we do in here, or
yes, or in a swatch. Well, what we do in here isn't necessarily representative.
So you're saying more like a red base, more something like a Wallace or like
in your experience,
like
how often
Stewart.
do you see a red-based tartan?
Maybe I'd say probably like
not universals.
I know
So we
that's
gotta
what I'm
take
trying to like
universals out.
leave
Yeah,
like
just
like the
clan
Irish County ones that have
yeah.
the red in a lot of red. Maybe 20%.
That's exactly the number I had in my mind. I was going to say maybe 20%. Maybe 20% are red-based versus green-based. So, yeah.
I would argue that some red tartans probably have surfaced to the public imagination more. So
Oh, yeah.
so you have a false impression. No offense to the question asker, but a false impression that red is more prominent because you see red represented in art and the media more.
Yeah, because
perhaps.
it's brighter and you could see it more.
Yeah.
Like Royal Stewart, freaking
Exactly.
everywhere.
Exactly.
It's ubiquitous. So,
Yeah.
indeed.
So, yep.
Yeah, good question.
Yeah.
Mr. Mack, do we have anyone from the YouTube, Facebook, Twitches?
No, I thought the red was based on how much blood of the enemy.
Well, I was going to say, there's the whole blood tartan thing. Yep. It was to hide because you would decapitate your enemies, and you had a red tartan because
You had to carry their heads somewhere.
You had to carry their heads home in the folds of your great kilt
Of course.
over your shoulder, and so the blood got everywhere. So
As you do.
Yes. Yep.
So, what is your favorite tartan? Let us know in the comments. If you want to see other videos we've done on tartan specifically in different colorways, check out these videos over here. And as always, check us out at usakilts.com. Have a good day, guys.